Barbershop Conversation, guys. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. First, I want to start this video off by saying this NBA is. First of all, I say I love the storylines. I picked from day one. Like 80% of you guys picked Golden State and Cleveland to be in the NBA Finals. But let me say this: the NBA is so rigged and fixed, and oh man. And I don't mean rigged from they know the outcome of the score, but there's moments in games where it's blatantly obvious what the hell is going on. The NBA owes Houston up to 10 points. And the same thing could be said about the OK City Utah series. I don't know if they wanted Utah to play Golden State, but those two missed 3-point shots by Paul George. He was obviously fouled. And the one prior to that, but the James Harden and one from the fourth, and those 2 threes in the first half where George Bell actually came down on him, and I think Steph Curry was the other one. No, George Bell had his hand in and he took the shot. They didn't call it. I mean, blatantly obvious. And I picked Golden State to win, but I was kind of rooting for Houston because I know James Harden personally. We're not close, but I know him personally, and I was just rooting for him. I know the Ariza family very well. Me and his mom are really. We used to be close friends, but we don't live as close together. I used to train her when I had my training business, and she volunteered a lot, donated a lot of shoes, a lot of money to when we gave back to our community. So I was rooting for them just because of the relationships I had with them. But NBA is fixed, man. They want what they want, and they got what they want. What I mean? There's 10 points on the board. The NBA took 10 points away, up to 10 points. I don't know if James Harden makes all 7 free throws, but they owe them up to 10 points, man. Just like they owe Oklahoma City 6 free throws. You know what I'm saying? That Paul George foul was just ridiculous against Utah that they didn't call. But they did have 6 shots to tie the game, but they still should have called the foul. And let me say this: James Harden didn't play the best game. What was he? 12 for 29, 41%, 2 for 13 from 3, 6 for 8 from the free throw line with 5 turnovers and 6 assists. He had 4 steals, though. Ironically, he was minus 13. Plus minus was minus 13. But let me say this. At some point, and I always equate things to real life, right? At some point in this game, we're going to say, well, we're going to throw the ball down to Tucker on the post. We're going to throw the ball down to James Harden on the post. James Harden needs to add a post game to him, to his repertoire. At some point, we're going to let Eric Gordon go and screen and roll. But 27 missed threes consecutively? I don't care if your DNA is to take 50 shots. Something has to change, man. It's not working. It's not working. And that's why you got to respect greatness. Now, comparatively speaking, Trevor Ariza was equivalent to, let's say, Jeff Green, right? And Eric Gordon was probably equivalent to like a J.R. Smith from yesterday. Cleveland made timely shots. Houston didn't make timely shots. But let me say this too. You have to live and breathe your greatness. God gives you great talent, right? But LeBron said he spent close to $2 million in the offseason on his body, right? It was very apparent James Harden kind of fatigued coming down the stretch. I'm not personal with James Harden. I see him at the Drew League, and I say what's up, and we may have like a 3-minute conversation every weekend if he's there, and then life goes on. So I'm not personal with it, but I'm real close to Lorenzo, which is his quote-unquote point guard in high school and his best friend. So I'm much closer with him, and he and I will have 20-minute conversation at the Drew League and what have you. So I don't know what goes on in his training regimen, but this is the off season. James Harden has to turn the corner. I don't know what he looks like with the shirt off. I don't know that. I don't know if his body has physically changed, but looking at him the past 2 games in the second half, he never stepped foot inside the free throw line. And when a basketball player is going free throw line to free throw line, something is wrong. You know, the game of basketball is played from baseline to baseline. And when you're just a free throw to free throw line player consistently, you're pretty fatigued. And fatigue set in on him. LeBron James was extraordinarily fatigued yesterday. He didn't show it. But his conditioning and his great habits carried him in Game 7, and the emotion of the game and the adrenaline and everything else involved, and more importantly, the moment. But he was well versed and well prepared, and he did this in his 15th season. I was rooting for the Warriors to win, man. Literally rooting for the Warriors, not the Warriors. I apologize, the Rockets to win. You know, and the biggest reason, for selfish reasons too. I shot a text during the game, right? I was like, we're driving because I'm going that weekend. I'll be in Dallas, and I shot a text, and I says, well, I thank God I got a Southwest flight to Dallas, because I can change a flight and you get your money back. Unlike if you use Orbiz, Expedia, stuff like that, you lose your money. So I got a Southwest flight, and I says, well, we're either gonna catch a plane to Houston, which is a 45-minute flight, or we're gonna take a 3-hour drive. It's 250 miles, right? And I said, we're going to drive if it goes to Game 7, right? We're going to drive from Dallas to Houston and go to Game 7. And I shot a text to some of my friends in boxing. I was like, yeah, we'll take that drive and go to Game 7, and it'll be much easier on us. And then we just catch a flight that night or first thing Monday morning and get back to LA or wherever he's from. And we were discussing that during the game. I was getting all excited and, you know, predicting my future, making plans for my future. And it didn't happen. So I don't have to worry about that now. So I'll be on the first thing smoking back to LA Sunday morning for Earl Spence Ocampo. But, you know, I'm disappointed because you can't make the same mistakes consistently. And the way Houston is made up, their donut, right? Beautiful on the outside, well glazed, perfect. It's a beautiful, right? It's like a Krispy Kreme donut, like Charles Barkley's favorite, right? But there's nothing in the middle. And you might say they got the big center guy, but he doesn't get anything off a set offense. Everything he pick up is like Bo Outlaw type points, right? Trash points, right? Hustle points, right? There's never a point in the game where they can turn that glazed donut into a cinnamon roll, where the best part of the game is in the middle. The best is they don't have nothing in the middle, right? And that kid is a hell of an athlete to be playing center. Actually, he looks like he should be a star in Black Panther 2. He looks like he's from Wakanda, doesn't he? With the flat top and all that. But you know, it's tough. So at the end of the day, I thought when instead of Ryan Anderson, if he didn't make his first 2 shots, you take him out the game and you put Thor in. I call him Thor, Nene, and you dump the ball down to Nene because he's going to have an advantage 100% of the time if he's on the block. And I don't know how efficient he is any longer. I really don't. So I can't sit here and say that. But what I do know is he has the brute force to move somebody down when you dump it down. If you're missing 27 threes in a row, you understand what I'm saying? You gotta throw it down there to put everything in play. You know, not that you're gonna score, which you can, which I think Thor can. He has that one-handed shot that he holds the ball, kind of like Otis Thorpe. You know, I'm bringing up names and shit that you guys may not be familiar, but Otis Thorpe played for the Houston Rockets, and he would do like that one-handed type shit. You understand what I'm saying? And Nene has that kind of game too. But I thought at some point you got to dump the ball down to the post. You understand? And I think James Harden this offseason has to add some posts to his game. And what that does is it takes possessions away from the game, because the more possessions you give Golden State, the more likely it is that you lose. Listen, you can't outshoot them, you can't outrun them, and you never will be outconditioned them because of the shape of their athletes. You understand what I'm saying? LeBron James is a more thicker athlete. Kevin Love is a thicker athlete. Tristan Thompson is a thicker athlete, right? Versus their four best players, right? Draymond Green is leaner than the guy that should be guarding him, which will be Tristan Thompson or Kevin Love, right? And needless to say those facts about Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. So you're not going to outcondition them. You're not going to outshoot them. So the more possessions you have in the game, the more likely it is that they're going to make a shot. And we saw it in the third quarter. You can't outdo what they do. And what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to run that screen and roll. But Cleveland's going to have to do it off of movements to the screen and roll. You can't go directly into that thing, man, because at the end of the day, it limits you. Although the screen and roll is the most impossible play to stop in NBA, you know, Karl Malone, John Stockton to Karl Malone, right? That's how both of them went to the Hall of Fame. But when you do it late in the shot clock, it limits you, right? So that's why you got to do it off of movements. You may get some mismatches off of movement. You may get some staggered. You may get some flex cuts. You may get some, you understand what I'm saying? Some scissor cuts, whatever there is, right? But at the end of the day, then you come to the screen and roll with 12 on the shot clock. And then you may have like, just off of that movement, you may have Steph Curry guarding LeBron James, right? And as opposed to going to screen and roll, LeBron James walks him down, and now LeBron James has 9 seconds to make a play, which is an eternity in an NBA, right? And then you make your play. So that's why you got to start everything with movement. But when you're coming down and being predictable like Houston was, everything is set. You know, their defense is set, well prepared. They're going to squeeze when you come off, and they're going to force you to get to your strong, not force you, but they're going to make it challenging for you to get to your strong side, in which they did in the second half to James Harden. But more importantly, James Harden had all that energy in the first half because he was fresh and he had to work so hard. Every time you shoot a 23-footer, it takes 1.25% energy out of you, right? Or 1.10% as opposed to taking a 13-foot jump shot, which is 1 unit of energy. I'm just making this for you guys to understand. So James Harden took 13 threes. So every time he took a three, because he dribbles a lot, dribble, then shoot, it's plus 10% in terms of energy. So it's 1 unit of energy plus 10%. This may not be the truest form, but you guys get my analogy. And, you know, but they say Houston's going to come back stronger. Who knows, man? You never know if you're going to get this opportunity again. Oh, look at Oklahoma City when they played Miami, right? And they lost. Oh, they're going to be back. They got to come back. The team is so young when they had the Super Three, right? They had all those kids from LA. They had Westbrook and Harden and Kevin Durant. Oh, they'll be back. And they had the young power forward, right? I always forget his name. Serge Ibaka, right? Oh, they'll guaranteed they're back. They haven't been back to the final since, right? Oh, Dan Marino, 1981, 83, whatever it is. Oh, he's a young quarterback from Pittsburgh. No way he's not coming back. Never made it back to the Super Bowl. You understand what I'm saying? Phoenix Suns, when they lineup was stacked, from Richard Dumas to Dan Marley to Kevin Johnson. Oh, they'll be back, guaranteed. Charles Barkley, they'll be back. Mark West, they'll be back. They never made it back to the NBA Finals. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's a marathon season. As you guys can see, your body breaks down, fatigue sets in, pressure, the moment. So there's a lot of variables that go into making NBA Finals. And that's why LeBron James going 8 seasons consecutively is astonishing. is amazing. And playing Golden State 4 times in NBA Finals is amazing. Now the same now now I want to say this. The same things that you say about LeBron James, oh, he's had a weak Eastern Conference. You could say the same thing about Golden State. They out free agency uh, every other team, and all they needed was one person. His name is Kevin Durant. So there you go. You understand what I'm saying? So you guys can say LeBron James is playing in a weak East, which is weaker than the Western Conference. I would agree. However, Golden State is at least 2 degrees better than every team in the Western Conference in a 7 game series. I thought Oklahoma City, if they chemistry caught up with their talent, they would be the only team that had a chance to beat uh, Golden State. You understand what I'm saying? But they couldn't, and the chemistry didn't work out for them. So moving forward, NBA owes Oklahoma City 6 free throws, and they owe Houston 7 free throws plus a 3-point shot. Go figure. And we're moving forward. We get the storylines that we want. We got Golden State and Cleveland, and it starts this Thursday. Obviously, you guys aren't going to forget it or miss it. So it should be fun. And if I'm a betting man, I take Golden State to win the series. From a fan's perspective, I'm fucking with not James Harden, LeBron James. This would be an epic season if he did this. His season's already complete in my eyes. He's not going to get the credit from the Stephen A. Smiths and Skip Bayless and everyone else who bashes LeBron James. But there's no one I've ever seen pick up a basketball that can do what LeBron James can do. And here's this that I've seen. All right, guaranteed 10 rebounds, guaranteed 10 assists, guaranteed he can guard every player. He can guard every position on the basketball court efficiently. I've never seen no one do that. And points, oh come on, let's not talk about that. He's a career 27 point per game scorer. But I'm just talking about I've never seen a guy get 10 rebounds that can get 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and guard every position as efficient as anyone, whether you're a center, Hakeem Olajuwon. Well, there's no Hakeem Olajuwons in it, but let's say screen and roll, he had to guard Joel Embiid. He could do that efficiently, right? He couldn't do it for 48 minutes, obviously, but screen and roll, if he gets pinned down for 5 to 8 possessions a game, he could make his life, you know what I mean? He could do that. So, LeBron James is the best athlete to ever touch a basketball, and I'm just gonna root for him. Like I said, Michael Jordan is like Roy Jones to me. Right now, I can't see anyone surpassing them in my head. Like Roy Jones boxing, Michael Jordan basketball. Like it's just inconceivable to me because that's where I learned to love the sport. Right? These guys taught me so much about the sport. Right? And at the end of the day, I can't see it. But I will say this: LeBron James will go down as arguably the most efficient basketball player to ever touch a basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar may have something to say about that. I don't know what his shooting percentage was, but every time I saw Kareem shoot, he made it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we have an exciting series coming up. So anyways, man, enjoy your night. Happy Memorial Day. We get up and go to work in the morning, and that's reality. So I hope you guys had a great 3-day weekend. And Thursday, game 1. And we're moving on. So Barbershop Conversations. Talk to you guys real soon. Peace.